Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. The Falcons coming off back-to-back wins over rivals. The Saints and the Bucks have another NFC South matchup versus the lowly Panthers. But there is something kind of sneaky. One, you don't have Bryce Young playing, and the Panthers have looked slightly better with Andy Dalton under center. The other thing is the Falcons have played 5 really, really tough games, including 2 emotional divisional matchups where they've won. Now they're going on the road, only their second road game against a team they're supposed to beat. How do they handle it? I mean, I know you don't want to normally, equate college football to the pros, but it is a grueling 5-game stretch with big wins. And then you go on the road, kind of like Vandy went on the road after emotional, or Alabama went to Vandy after emotional win, and they didn't look like the same football team. How do you keep that intensity and make sure to take care of business? Because the margin for error in the NFL is a lot smaller than it is.
Good comparison. Vandy, Carolina, Falcons, Bama, obviously to a certain extent. What I mean is first-year head coaches, Raheem Morris, Kalen DeBoer, trying to set the standard, the culture. And I'm not going to say it would never happen under Saban, but what happened against Vandy is very, very unlikely under Saban. Now, Raheem Morris had the fortunate, his predecessor crumbled in these kind of moments where we should win and we don't win. So Raheem Morris does have something to prove, though, as far as like, hey, we're different. I think you've already done that to a certain extent where the Saints game, the Eagles game, the Bucks game, every single win has come. It was improbable that the Falcons won all those games. And you're coming off, like you said, this is the third division game in as many weeks. You have a real good opportunity to take a stranglehold on this division. You move to 4-2, 3-0 in the division, and you're sitting pretty. You're sitting in the driver's seat. It's up to Raheem Morris and Jesse Bates and Grady Jarrett and Kirk Cousins, the leaders of this team, to kind of be like, hey, guys, we're not that good. Somebody needs to come in there and give them a Saban talk where it's like, you're not that good. Like, we haven't played good football. You're not good enough just to waltz in to Charlotte and think you're just going to beat this Panthers team. That's what they need to be telling each other.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly should.
Well, they aren't. This isn't even like pumping yourself up. You're not that good.
Yeah, they certainly should go in there and take care of business, probably by more than a touchdown. But this is the ultimate letdown spot as you get in letdown spots in the NFL. As I mentioned, that gauntlet you played in the first 5 weeks was very impressive.
Yes.
You have very emotional wins on the final play in back-to-back weeks in divisional matchups. The vibes are high. If you come out there in the NFL any given week, and it's very easy to do after the stretch of the play the Falcons have, but getting into the actual matchups, one of the most intriguing aspects of the Panthers to me, right, is they've had this absolutely putrid offensive line. And if you think back to the last 2 years, you're like, oh, this is finally the matchup where they can take advantage. Well, the Falcons haven't done that. And if you go look at the Panthers offensive line stats this year, they actually have one of the best offensive lines by the metrics. They have been some of the best in pass protection at not allowing pressure. And Chuba Hubbard has really developed into a pretty good running back behind that offensive line. So there's actually a little matchup here that I don't think a lot of people are looking at. It could be disadvantageous for the Falcons if they don't play better across the front.
Yeah, the Falcons' pass defense has, if you just go look in the box score and league rankings, they're ranked pretty highly in a lot of the metrics. But that's only because teams haven't been passing against them because they don't have to. They're running at will on this Falcons defense. And this path, Dave Canales wants to run the football. He did it in Tampa last year. He's doing it right now in Carolina. They went away from it last week against Chicago when it was very clearly working. Their attempts and total yardage is not that impressive. But if you look at their yards per carry, that is the Panthers, it's very impressive. So they can run the ball. Sometimes they just go away from it. Against this Falcons defense, that's all I would do. First, second, and maybe third down. Like if it's third and short, just run the football. And if you're the Falcons, you know that. You know they're going to try and run the football. Have some pride. Nate Landman activated from the IR. The window is open. He might not return. Getting him back would be a huge boost to this Falcons run defense. But that's what I'm concerned about, is this Panthers offense just chew and clock, keeping Kirk and this Falcons offense on the sideline. Our defense is tired. One guy that did show up a little bit in limited snaps was Rukaroro. He's clearly early downs kind of guy that showed he can have an impact. Don't know why he isn't playing. I expect him to maybe get some burn again. That's what I'm really concerned about. Is this Panthers rushing attack? This Falcons rush defense is pitiful. Who's going to show up?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rugeroro, you're going to see a lot of him in this game, and hopefully he builds off.
Yeah.
Hopefully he builds off what he did, because I think, once he was inserted into that game, it was very hard for the Bucs to establish that rushing attack that we saw. Obviously, Nate Landman update today. He's not only been activated, he's actually practicing today. So it looks like he's trending in the direction that he's going to be able to play. And I don't think it can be understated enough. I mean, if you think about the last 2 years as a whole, nobody's really run fantastically against the Falcons when Nate Landman is in the game. And I think he's that big of a difference maker against the run and early down, third down linebacker that I think just getting him back will be a huge. And if they stop this rushing track, it's going to be hard for the Falcons to lose this game, because this is another opportunity for Kirk Cousins to build off what they did. We said it before the Bucs game. Injuries, this Bucs defense was susceptible, and obviously we saw what Kirk Cousins was able to do having a career night. The Panthers is even worse. I mean, the Panthers defense is the Panthers awful. Don't have a defense.
Their best players are all gone, and whether it was a trade or free agency or injury, Derek Brown got injured, Brian Burns got traded, Frankie Louvu, or however he says his name, the linebacker, I think he signed somewhere else in free agency. Like, this Panthers defense is absolutely barren of talent. What they did have, in the front seven area is completely gone. So. Yeah. This Falcons offense, if you want to find any semblance of consistency from week to week, this is the week to kind of do it. I mean, we got to see something, and we got to see something maybe from the guys who haven't been doing it. I'm talking about Kyle Pitts. I know he had a game last week, 88 yards, but Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts getting them going in the same game sure would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this matchup and I'm licking my chops if I'm Kirk Cousins, Zach Robinson in this Falcons offense. I mean, this is an opportunity for Kirk Cousins to go out there and throw for 300-400 yards. I mean, you go look at what they did. They made Caleb Williams look like he belongs to be the number one pick last year over Jaden Daniels. It was the first time Caleb Williams looked competent. I think that says more about the Panthers defense. I mean, the Bengals smoked them. Every single team that Derek Carr, they made the Saints. That Saints offense.
Everybody thought that Derek Carr was going to be an MVP candidate leading the Saints to the postseason. They were real people. And they were a real football team. And part of that is because the Carolina Panthers have one of the worst defenses you'll see. And that's when they had Derek Brown for a little bit. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how bad this Panthers defense is. And that's, if you're Kirk Cousins in this Falcons offense, that's where you got to take advantage. I mean, we need to see a 30-burger. I need to see 3 touchdowns. Like, they need to dominate this game from start to finish on the offensive side of the ball. And that's what makes me feel most confident about it, because I do feel confident in Kirk Cousins, a veteran, taking advantage of the weaknesses in this defense and not treating this like it's just the Panthers. Like, he's going to be focused. And that's where I think you'll see the difference this year from last year, having Kirk Cousins, a guy like that, who's not going to overlook the Panthers.